Marshall from the video game heavy metal band Power Glove, and welcome to Chris Marshall Arts and Crafts Corner. Chris Marshall Arts and Crafts Corner, doodly doo doo, that's the theme song. I'm going to be showing you how to make your own musical instrument. Is it this thing right here? No, that thing sucks. We're going to be making a Guitar Hero synth controller. Sounds a little something like this. So let's get started. First thing you're going to need is a Guitar Hero controller, some duct tape, and some badass coat hangers to make it all super futuristic-y and cool. Now, you're also going to want a secondary control device because the Guitar Hero controller, as you can see, only has 5 action buttons: start, select, the picky thing, and the whammy bar. And that's not enough for a musical instrument. So I'm using a Nostromo USB gamepad. It's got 10 action-packed action buttons and some arrow keys, and that is more than enough combined to give me control over the instrument. Now I use the software that comes in the Nostromo pad to turn this into keystrokes going into my computer, and then I use the PS2 to USB device to turn the PS2 Guitar Hero controller into a USB joystick. From there I use the program Joy2Key to turn the joystick input into keystrokes. So this whole thing is just making a bunch of keystrokes on the computer. From there, I made a program in C# using DirectX, Direct Sound, and Direct Input to be exact, to turn those keystrokes into sound coming out of the computer. Now to create the sound samples, I used a MIDI composition program called Guitar Pro, made a file of one note, and then exported each one of those as a wave and a scale. It's not the most efficient way of doing it, I guess, but it worked for me, and it was the first thing I thought of. And this whole project I sort of did in one night. You can do it in one night if you keep your mind to it. The code was only a couple of hundred lines. It's really not that bad. Getting direct sound and direct input works really well. Just look up a tutorial online. It's pretty simple. The hardest part you're going to find is creating the logic and making an instrument that you can play well. I'm still learning how to play this thing because I just made it. But the best way I could do it, because the Nostromo pad it wasn't exactly fast enough to make its own notes, is that I made this change the context of these buttons using the 10 buttons on here. Let me just demonstrate how that works. The default setting, it's E natural minor, going from the 1st to the 5th in the scale. Just like that. These 5 buttons on the outside here change the starting note and ending note. So you hit the 2nd button, and then you got the 2nd through the 6th. Then the 3rd through the 7th on the next. 4th octave. 5th one above the octave. Now these buttons right here, this next row of 5, change the interval between these notes in scale degrees. The default is just 1, so they're all right next to each other. Then you can do it in 3s, so they're 2 notes apart, which I think sounds really cool. This next one is in 4ths. It sounds a little wacky, but I think that sounds cool too. 5ths is really wacky, but again it sounds nice. Plus it gives you that Mario 5th sound. Then up here, the 6th is just wacky, wacky, wacky. Goes really high pitched too. Now I also made a second mode for this. I used start and select to switch modes. Second mode is a little experimental. It uses the picky thing here. Just like Guitar Hero, you hold down a fret and use the pick to control it. Just because I could, it registers the downstroke and upstroke differently. So I made the downstroke whatever the note is, and then the upstroke's a fifth above it. I just kind of like the sound of it. I think it's cool. You can make it the same note if you wanted to make it, you know, more typical like Guitar Hero, but I like that too. I also, with the arrow keys on the Stromo pad, I made what I call a sweep wheel. So you just hit that, and then you've got the first, the third, the fifth, and the octave, depending on what fret you're hitting. Then another one. And so on. Again, this one's kind of hard to use, and I just started playing this the other day. So if you want to try some sweeps, here's some sloppy sweeps. Practice and get your sweeps clean just like a guitar. Here we go. Again, pretty sloppy, but I'm just learning how to play this thing. Then from the computer output, I use a bunch of cables, some 1/4 to 8 converter cables and stuff like that. I'm a guitarist, so I have it all going through my Pod XT Live right now. I've got a light auto wah, or a decent auto wah on it, just to give it a more expressive sound. A little bit of distortion or overdrive, and some reverb and some optional delay if you want to do some atmospheric stuff like this. Sounds cool. I've also got a whammy pedal, a Digitech whammy. That lets me go down a whole step from whatever note I'm hitting, sort of creates a little bend effect, which again lets you be a little more expressive with the instrument. And then I just have that running out of some speakers that you could use with your guitar, and that is the entire instrument. Again, this took me about one night to do. You can do it too. I have faith in you. You can code it yourself. It's really not that hard. Even if you're not much of a programmer, you can just find tutorials online and copy those, rip those off, and really make your own program very fast if you just know how to work an if statement and all that sort of stuff and have some logic in it. But you know, the direct sound stuff, once you set it up, direct input, once you just set up the initial stuff, it's really simple to use. Please, if you make one of these or some variant of it, I'd love to see the video and see what you did so I can rip off the control scheme, maybe improve mine a little. And thank you very much for watching. And please check out my band Power Glove. We sound like this. By the way, if you want to check out what this thing sounds like live with a band, I'm going to be debuting it at the next Power Glove show. You can check the MySpace and see what that is. We're going to be rocking out with it, and it's going to be great. And have fun building your own instrument. It's a lot better than playing some sort of stupid ass guitar like everyone else. Be original.